Uh, this is the first time you've joined the session. You have not attended the earlier two sessions. Hari? Okay, so Akshay, Kavya,
Yes, ma'am.
Prerna. This is the first session you are attending today?
What, ma'am?
This is the first session you'll be attending?
Not audible, ma'am. 1 second, ma'am.
And somebody has joined with the name of Infant. If you can please
Yes, ma'am.
file name, so I'll know who it is.
Yeah.
What's your name?
Infant, ma'am.
Your name is Infant. Okay.
Yeah, infant. So I have
Okay.
today joined the class for wealth management boot camp.
This is your first class as well. You
Yeah,
had
this
not.
is my first orientation class.
Good enough. You can switch off your camera. No problem.
Yeah, can you hear me, ma'am?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, ma'am. Hello.
Hello. Yeah, Hari.
Yes, ma'am. It's hearing. This is my first class, ma'am. Hello.
Yes, yes. So this is your first class, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So Sakshi has also joined. Sakshi and Abhishek. Is this an orientation class or do we start with a domain? Sakshi?
Yeah, so basically, Shikhi, we can, start with the introduction part. Okay, so there
Okay.
are candidates which have joined and it's their first class today. Okay.
Yes, I can see.
And,
Yeah.
regarding that gradebook part, which I will be sharing a recording with them, and if they have any issues, then I will connect with 3 of the candidates. Rest, we can start with the introduction part from today itself, right?
Okay, so we had started with the financial system. So Akshay, Prerna, and Kavya, and Kuldeep. So in the last class, I had given you some homework. Do you remember what was the homework?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Akshay, what were you supposed to do?
Ma'am, you had told me that to find out what are the regulators of financial system in other countries.
Yes. So we had shared a list of countries, and we had tried. This was your homework to find
Yes,
out
ma'am.
the regulators of those country.
Will
Yeah.
us. Yeah.
There was
So I
another
want to tell you.
small
Would you
homework
like to hear?
as well. Yeah, Akshay, just hold on. I will ask you. I'll give you time to
Okay.
speak.
Okay.
But before
Okay.
that, yeah, I had also given another small homework.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, what was it?
Ma'am, to find
Prerna?
out financial crisis in 2008. What was there in US and UK?
Yes, 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 yes. Good, good. So I hope all of you have read on it.
Yes, ma'am.
So Akshay, we'll start with you. Will you let us know the regulators? Which country? Singapore was one. Mexico was one. Russia was another. So can you let us know the regulators? Hello, Akshay.
Yes, ma'am.
You're not audible. So you let us know the regulators. You'll share your findings with us.
Yes, ma'am. Hong Kong authority has Hong Kong Monetary Authority. Singapore MS means Monetary Authority of Singapore.
They just have one
Brazil has.
authority.
Sorry, ma'am.
Brazil and Singapore have just one authority. Hong Kong and Singapore have just one authority. No?
One authority. Yes, ma'am. Brazil
Go
has
ahead, go ahead.
National Monetary Council, and Switzerland has FINMA. That includes banks and insurance companies. And Russia has its own central bank, that is the Bank of Russia. And Australia has the Australian Securities and Investment Commission, ASIC.
For the benefit of people who have joined today, we will, I'll just go through what we have done till now. So we have seen for the economy to grow. Economy is basically the study of use of resources. So we all know that resources are scarce. So even if you look at the richest man, he would not want to waste his money. There is no, everybody has limited money and people try to use that money in the optimum way,
perfect way.
right? So financial system basically helps us to use that money in a better way. So if you look at a financial system, it plays a major role in the development of economy. The financial system channelizes the fund from people who are in surplus to people who are in deficit. So in an economy, we will have two components. One is production and the other is the factor of consumption. Now, if you look at factories or firms produce because there are consumers to consume it. So consumers provide resources to the firms for that production. So the consumers or individuals provide land, labor, and capital. Capital means money. So we will hear this word very often. So capital basically means money. So if you look at, if somebody has to come up with a business, he will require money to do it, right? So usually businessmen do not use their own money. They can either take a loan from the bank, or they can take a loan from general public, or they can issue shares. So companies or firms generate money through either of any of these three ways. Okay, so this is provided by the factor of consumption. So if you and again they will need money. At the same time, they might also need land. So that again will be provided by factor land, capital, and labor. So when a company is coming up with a new business, a new project, or it is expanding, so these are the three things it would need, which will be provided by individuals, right? At the same time, when individuals work for that firm, they will earn money by rent, wages, or income, right? So these are the factors of production, and these are the factors of consumption. Consumption and production. So consumption and productions are two components of the economy, and the financial system basically channelizes the money from people who are in surplus to the people who are in deficit. Now we have understood that financial system obviously deals with money. It routes money from people who are in deficit to the people who are in surplus to the people who are in deficit. Obviously, it has to be managed well. Otherwise, there'll be many mispractices or wrong practices in the system. So we have regulators, and that's what we were discussing in the last session. We had seen they can be various regulators in an economy, or they can be one regulator. In India, for example, you have many regulators. You have the RBI, which regulates the banking system. Then you have SEBI, which regulates the capital market. You also have PFRDA, which regulates the pension funds. You have the IRDA. So we work in a multiple regulator system. Whereas there can be countries like Singapore and Hong Kong, I don't know if you can call it a country, but Hong Kong, for example, they just have one regulator which looks after all the aspect of the financial system. Then as some countries might have multiple. So for example, US, like India has multiple regulators. Brazil also has multiple regulators. So those that is the role of the regulators. Okay. Another thing we had seen that whenever there is a financial crisis, the regulator and the government have to step in. So we had seen there was a financial crisis in 2008. So Prerna, would you like to share your findings on the financial crisis of 2008?
The financial crisis is also known as global financial crisis because as there was severe worldwide economic crisis. It was
What was
followed.
the reason for that?
Inflation.
No, inflation was not the reason.
Ma-
Kavya, do you want to have something
Yes,
to add?
ma'am, I want to add is that, ma'am, the reason of the financial crisis in 2008 was that the Lehman Brothers filed for bankruptcy.
Correct.
They become bankrupt during the year 2008. On 15 September 2008, they filed a bankruptcy. That's because it was a biggest whatever I read, I understand that it was a biggest investment bank, I think.
Yes, yes. Lehman Brothers was one of the your very big investment bank, correct?
Yeah, and it filed a bankruptcy, so it caused a big it created a biggest recession or depression in the economy.
And then how was it sorted out?
It was sorted out by taking many measures by the government. Yeah, Consumer Protection Act was bring out after this. I thought. Yes, means
Consumer Protection Act. No, that is a different thing.
Okay, तो मैंने कोई और चीज पढ़ ली होगी. Sorry.
No issues. But good that all of you have gone through it and seen. Anyways, so financial crisis, as the name suggests, was a state in the world economy. It only did not affect one country; it affected multiple countries. So that happened because, as we have seen in the financial system, it is simply the money is channelized from people who are in surplus to the people who are in deficit. Now, the people who had borrowed. So basically, to summarize, if you look at people who had borrowed the money could not return the money. Now, if you look at financial institutions like the Lehman Brothers, they are just intermediaries. They take money from people who want to invest and then give it to people who are in need of it. And when they have to return, obviously, the person who has borrowed has to give it back to them. And then they will return it to the person from whom they have borrowed, obviously with some interest or some additional benefit. So that is what is the system of the investment banks or commercial banks. Now, if the people who have borrowed money from the bank do not return, bank has to return it from its own profit or from its own funds. Now, that is what happened with Lehman Brothers. So Lehman Brothers had given a lot of loan in the mortgage space. Mortgage is basically a loan against real estate. However, real estate prices crashed and the Lehman Brothers were not able to recover the money from people who have borrowed. And they did not have enough money to give it to people from whom they had borrowed. So that caused the collapse of Lehman Brothers. Obviously, in this case, the regulators and the government had to step up because everybody was struggling with financial crisis. So that is what the 2008 crisis is. Obviously, whenever there is a problem or there is some crisis, government or the regulators come up with norms to avoid these kind of things in future. So that is what happened. A lot of new regulations came into being after the collapse of Lehman Brothers. Okay. Yeah, so that is about the 2008 crisis and the role of regulators and the role of financial system. So that is what we had seen earlier. So people who had joined today can go through the videos because it is recorded. In case you still have some issues, we can always discuss in the class. If the class is interactive, it will be, the learning would be better. So please, in case you do not understand something, or you have to check your understanding, or you have to add something, please just unmute your mic and speak. So the learning would be better. Okay. So let us continue from where we left. So I think in the last class we looked at the role of a central bank. Central bank for India is the RBI. Right? So apart from being the regulator, it is a banker to the government and the bankers to the bank. So what does a banker do? Banker, in case I have excess money, I will keep it with the banker. In case I need money, I will take it from the banker. So that is what the role RBI plays as government, the banker to the government. So banker, the RBI helps the government raise debt from the market. As we know, government is one of the biggest borrower. Why would the government borrow? Any idea? What will be the reason for the bank to borrow or for the government to borrow?
For the development of the economy, for the investment in
Correct.
different sectors.
Correct. Right. And when do we borrow?
When the government doesn't have enough funds.
Okay. So in the last class, we had also seen the fiscal and the monetary policy. So fiscal policy list how the government is going to generate money and how is it going to spend it. So what are the sources of revenue for the government? Sources of revenue for the government.
From the customers.
Customers. Who is the customer of the bank or of the government?
No, ma'am, the citizens of.
Okay.
From tax
Tax, ma'am.
revenues or
Tax
tourism and
Correct.
gifts from different countries.
Okay. Yeah. So obviously, self-respecting country would not like gifts from other country, but yes, sometimes other countries also help. But the main source of revenue for the government is the tax collection and auction of your natural resources, like you have to buy rights for mining, or you have to buy rights for spectrum, 5G spectrum, for example. So if you're using the government resources, the government charges you, the government asks you to give money. Also, a lot of government borrowing comes, revenue comes in form of taxes. Obviously, when this money or the revenue of the government is less than what they plan to spend, the government will have to borrow. And in a developing country like India, we usually have a deficit. That means the government doesn't have enough money to spend based on the plan it wants to carry. So for that case, the government will borrow, and here RBI helps the government to borrow from the market. So that is one role which the central bank plays. So raising money for the government, acting as lender to the of last resort. So we've seen it as a banker. If we need money, if we are in need of money, we can go to the bank and take a loan from them. So RBI in our country is the lender to the last resort. Okay. So RBI will always have money to give you. One of the reason is because banks keep their excess money with the RBI. Also in our country, RBI is the only is authorized to print money. So in case everything is over, RBI can still print more money. Okay, so RBI acts as a lender of last resort. So acting as lender of last resort not only refers to role of bank as a periodic rescuer of bank in trouble, it also refers to the fact that central bank will help the other banks when they meet problems with their liquidity. So the central banks, the other banks can also borrow from the central bank, which is RBI in our case. So this is what we were discussing, the Lehman Brothers collapse. This is happened, and the regulator and the government stepped in to take control of things, and therefore a lot of regulations also came for lending. So during 2008, the
Ma'am, I
US
have a query.
yes.
Ma'am, why RBI do not have the authority to print the note of 1 rupee?
I will not have the answer to that. That's a policy decision. So RBI, yes, you're
Okay.
right. RBI does not print 1 rupee. It is printed by the government. But I do not have an answer.
Okay, okay.
That is good for pointing it out. So for everybody else's knowledge as well. So RBI prints every other currency except for 1 rupee note, which is printed by the government. So this is what we were discussing about the Lehman Brothers crisis. So during 2008, the US and the UK, all European central bank and government engaged in widespread liquidity support schemes in order to support their banking system. Another role of the central bank is to liaison with international body. So you have the World Bank, the IMF. So in India, the RBI license with the international body because they represent the country in front of them. Central bank will liaise with other international financial bodies like the IMF and the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, also known as the World Bank. They also liaise with
Ma'am.
and take, yes. Yeah, go ahead.
Ma'am, please differentiate the IMF and World Bank. Hello?
They are, yeah. They are two different organizations. So if you look at World Bank has a developmental function. If you look at the name also, you will see the main function of World Bank is development. They look at development and especially the developing countries. So the main function or the objective of World Bank is to
develop the country.
work with developing countries to reduce poverty and increase share of prosperity. So if you look at World Bank has many projects in India, in Africa, and more developing countries. So the other day I was talking to one of my friends. He works on projects of World Bank. So he says, I travel a lot, but not to countries I would like to travel, because World Bank basically has projects in developing country or third world country rather than bigger country. Okay. Whereas the IMF tries to stabilize the international monetary system and acts as the world currencies. Monitor the world currencies. So that is the function of the IMF. It is more about settlement. Yeah.
Okay.
Settlement and transaction between countries, whereas IMF, World Bank is more about development. So that's the difference.
Okay.
Then you also have Bank of International Settlement, or BIS, based in Basel. It's a city in in Switzerland. So basically, the Bank for Settlement, BIS, also comes up various regulations which the RBI, for example, has agreed to. Some of them to be complied in India as well. So RBI lies with the BIS as well. And obviously G7, G10, G20 are group of countries, and the central bank would represent their country in these meetings. another very important function of the central bank is controlling inflation. So I think in the last class we had seen this. The central bank comes up with the monetary policy. Monetary policy is basically about regulating the flow of money in the economy. Now, we have seen that if there is too much money in the economy, it will give rise to inflation. And then the central bank will step in to control the inflation. So the way of controlling inflation is to reduce the liquidity, right? So monetary policy actually tries to regulate the flow of money in the country by either increasing it when the country is looking at development or reducing it when the inflation is very high. So if you look at the few monetary policies of India, the interest rates have remained constant or they have been decreased. If the interest rates are decreased, obviously there is huge supply of money in the market, and that will trigger development. Whereas huge supply will also increase inflation. So, when RBI thinks that, we have enough liquidity in the system and it's trying to control inflation, RBI would increase the interest rates. So this is also one target of the central bank. So inflation is the key target for central bank. They also decide how we measure inflation, accountability in another current issue. And there is also a question, do we need a central bank? Like the way some banks have failed in the recent past, people are questioning the central bank or the RBI. Anyways, so these are the functions of the central bank, which is RBI for us. And as we have discussed, there can be many, there are other central banks in different countries. So now let us look at financial markets. Markets are a place where things are bought and sold. So financial markets are places where financial instruments are bought and sold. The financial markets, as we have seen, or the financial system, as we have seen, is a way of channelizing money for people who need it and to provide opportunities for people who want to generate more money or who want to invest. So one aspect of market is about raising of capital and matching of those who want capital with those who have it. So you have lenders. Lenders are people who are in surplus of money, and borrowers obviously are people who are in deficit. So here the financial intermediaries like the bank and the stock exchange will facilitate the movement of funds from the lenders to the borrowers. So in the financial system, you have the financial markets or the place where financial securities are bought and sold. Then you have the financial securities, obviously instruments to enable borrowing and lending. Then you have the financial intermediaries or people who are responsible for channelizing money from one person to another. You obviously have the investors and you have the borrowers. And to control all that, you also have the regulators. So bank is a kind of financial intermediary. So all of us go and keep our money with the bank. That we all do. All of you would have an account, right? So
Yes,
what we do is like whenever we have some money, we go and keep it in the bank. The bank does not keep that money lying idle. Bank then tries to find people who are in need of money and then lends it to them. So that is one of the major function of the bank, which is channelizing the money from people who are in surplus to people who are in deficit. So bank take deposits from those who have money to save and bundle it up in various ways so that it can be lent to those who wish to borrow. Then you have the stock exchanges. Now there are many ways of capital formation. So people who have attended the earlier classes, can you just revise what are the different ways of generating capital? So maybe Kuldeep can tell us what are the various ways of generating capital. We have actually seen 3 ways of generating capital. Do you remember
Yes, ma'am.
that, Kavya?
Yes, ma'am. By
so Kavya,
issuing.
Yeah.
by issuing shares
Okay.
and
Then
taking loans from the bank,
correct.
और we can मैम इन उसमें भी मैम शॉर्ट टर्म और लॉन्ग टर्म लोन्स भी आपने
हाँ
बताए
नहीं
कि
loans ठीक है. We will look
Short-
at short term and long term later. But you know, taking a loan from the bank.
yes
Yes.
ma'am,
Hmm.
and from other relatives we also,
Right. So you can borrow from general public,
and
or you can
bank.
ask them to be a part of your business by issuing shares, or you can take the loan from the bank. So bank would help to generate money by giving a loan, whereas stock exchanges would help you raise money through issue of shares or
Shares.
debt to general public. Okay, so more complex transaction than a simple bank deposit requires market in which borrowers and their agents can meet the lenders and their agent. An existing commitment to borrow or lend can be sold on to other people. So stock exchanges are good example. Another thing I want you to pay attention is the agent. That means in a bank, we can directly go and keep our money. But in a stock exchange, if you have to deal or buy or sell shares, we have to necessarily do it through members of the stock exchange, and they will act as our agent. What do you call them?
Brokers.
Brokers.
Right. So stock exchange, the transaction necessarily happens through the broker. They act as our agent in the stock exchange. So all borrowers and lenders meet through the brokers. So both are financial intermediaries. Bank help businesses to generate money and generate capital by giving a loan, whereas stock exchange help the businesses to generate money through issue of shares or debt securities. So this is the main role of the financial market, to channelize people from lenders or savers to people to borrowers or spenders. So usually if you look at in an economy, your households are generally big savers, whereas business and government would need more, you know, they are
Borrower.
borrowers, right? So this is how the movement of funds happen through the financial intermediaries. And these instruments are issued in the financial market. So we've just discussed the participants of the financial market. So financial market, you will obviously have the borrowers and the lenders. Then you have the intermediaries. Intermediaries are the bridge between the borrowers and the lenders. And you definitely will have regulators because it involves dealing with somebody else's money. Borrowers and lenders can be anyone. We can be borrowers, we can also be lenders. So when we go and deposit our money with the bank, we are lenders. But when we take a loan from the bank, we are the borrowers. So at some point of time, everyone is either a lender or a borrower. When you park your saving in the bank, you are a lender. Then intermediaries, the bridge between
Bank.
borrowers and lenders. So intermediaries such as bank are needed because the lenders and borrowers have different expectation related to various parameters, including volume, returns, risk, and period. Are these needed to be reconciled and brought together. Then you have the regulators. Regulators are the entities which will give guidelines and monitor the performance of the intermediaries. So regulators primarily perform the function of ensuring that this happens by framing guidelines and regulations which govern the function of the market, and also monitoring adherence to guidelines. So regulators will give the guidelines and also monitor if the financial intermediaries are following this regulation. Obviously, it is peculiar because here in a financial market, if you look at, you don't buy any physical thing. So market, when we go, we think of buying some physical product, but in financial market, you will not be able to buy any physical product. It would be in paper form, or in today's scenario in electronic form. Another peculiarity of financial market is that when you buy the exchange, when you buy a physical product, the exchange ends there. You know, the transaction ends there, but not in a financial market, because in the financial market, the borrower obviously will have to return the money to the lender. In a financial market service, the commodity that is exchanged, money has to be returned to the lender at a future rate, because there is no physical commodity exchanged.
Ma'am, please
And
repeat this peculiarity.
peculiarity, see, it is different from other markets. So if you go to markets, so for example, you're going to a vegetable market, you will give the vegetable vendor 20 rupees and buy a kg of potato, for example. Then there'll be no transaction between you and the potato seller. That's
Yes,
not the
sir.
case in financial market. So financial market, for example, you keep your money in as a bank deposit. You'll keep on withdrawing from there and keep on depositing money. If you've taken a loan from the bank, your transaction does not end just by taking the loan. The transaction will end only when you return the money. So that is the peculiarity of the financial market. The transaction does not complete in one go. It is completed only when the borrower returns the money to the lender.
Okay, ma'am.
So in the financial market, financial instruments are issued for generating the money. So as we have seen, two ways of generating money in the financial market is either by issuing a share, that means making the investor a part of your business, and the other one is taking a loan.
Loan.
So obviously two different instruments will be used for generating money using these two means. So one is a share, stocks or shares, or you can have bonds. Bonds is obviously a loan. Then you can insurance and pension. You can also buy government securities. Bonds and debentures are similar. In India, actually, if you look at the borrowing by the government is known as bond, whereas borrowing by a corporate is known as debenture.
Yeah.
Debenture is also a kind of loan which
Loan.
can be generated. Financial instruments can be stocks or shares. That means I become a part of the business, and any profit or the company makes, they will have to share it with me. Bonds is a borrowing. That means the person who has issued me a bond will have to pay me regular interest because they are using my money. Insurance has a different objective. Insurance is basically to reduce your financial risk. And pension is for planning your future. So they are also, so you have money now, you pay it to somebody who will provide you money in the future. As we have discussed, government is one of the biggest borrower, and government issues, government can issue only debt securities. Government cannot issue share because government cannot give you a part of profit, or it cannot make you a part of of running the country. So government cannot issue shares. It can only raise debt through bonds or T-bills. T-bills are treasury bills. So treasury bills are financial instrument issued by the government. Debentures are also borrowings. If a country, if a company wants to raise money, not by issuing shares, but by borrowing, they will issue debentures. Also, foreign exchange is a part of your financial market. So exchange of one currency for another using an exchange rate. So we live in a globalized economy. That means there are import and exports. So obviously, the foreign exchange requirement is there. So you have the foreign exchange also. Then you have derivatives. Derivatives as form of a financial instrument. Now, derivatives are complex instrument. If you look at the name of derivatives, they are called so because their value is derived from something else. So, for example, if you define derivatives, they are financial contracts, right? and there is an underlying asset. So I'm sure the easiest example, and all of you would have seen in your life, everyday life also. So for example, there is a wedding in the family, right? And your parents are preparing for that wedding. So what they will do is they will go to the jeweler and give some money, saying that please book my gold today. I will buy it after 6 months. So I do not know how gold is going to react after 6 months. So I want to secure myself and I will pay you some value. Please give me gold based on the value as of today, right? So we know there is an uncertainty. The price of gold can increase or decrease depending on the market. Now, the jeweler or the gold seller is also okay with it because he's getting some money now. And in case the value of the gold falls, it will be good for him. You will pay a higher rate than what was decided, right? And for you also, it is good because even if the gold prices increase, you will be able to get gold at the same rate. So derivatives are these kind of, so this kind of contracts, you do not have some written evidence or any formal thing, but this is how the derivative works. So derivatives, to define, are financial contracts whose value is dependent on an underlying asset like the equity shares or interest rates or even commodities. So commodities like oil, for example. So we all know the market price can fluctuate, and if I'm dealing with oil, in case it increases, I will be at loss. Then there would be another person who has this oil. In case the value of oil decreases, he will be at loss. So we get into a contract to where we will define the exact quantity and price of that oil in future, right? So that is what derivative is. So derivatives are financial contracts which derive their value from some other underlying asset, and basically they are used to reduce the risk. So derivative instruments which derive their value from an underlying. Yeah. Then you have the money market instrument. So money market, money gives you liquidity, right? So liquidity in financial terms is a measure of how fast I can convert my asset into cash. So if we talk about real estate or maybe a car, they are less liquid than the money I have in my fixed deposit or in my saving account, right? So money is something which is liquid. So as the name suggests, money market is for instrument which can be converted to money easily. So money market are short-term debt instruments. You do not have shares in money market because shares are long-term. They cannot be redeemed. So if I have become a partner in some business, I'll have to continue invested in the business until the company closes. So money market is not a place for shares. Money market is only for issuing short-term debt securities. So money market, to define, is a market for short-term securities, and these securities are all borrowed securities. So short-term instrument which have maturities less than a year, treasury bills, repo, certificate of deposit, commercial paper. So any kind of business can need this money. So we have seen that T-bills, for example, are debt raised by the government. Certificate of deposits are debt raised by the banks. Commercial papers are debt raised by the companies. Okay, so company would have long-term requirement or short-term requirement. Short-term requirement. The short-term requirement is met by borrowing in the money market. Then you have commodities. Commodities are physical products. In the financial market, you have commodities are dealt with using either directly or derivative products. So commodities are basically physical products. Commodities can be, for example, gold, it can be oil, it can also be an agriculture crop. So as we have seen, banks act as intermediaries between people who are in excess of money and people who are in a deficit. So banks help capital formation in process of building the capital stock of country by investing in productive plants and equipment. In other words, capital formation is increasing in capital asset by efficient use of capital. This we have discussed earlier as well. Higher the capital formation of an economy, the faster an economy can grow in its aggregate level. So we all know for any kind of growth or any kind of upliftment, you need money. And money comes from capital formation. That means people who have money will keep it with the bank, and bank will use it to give loans to people who want to come up with new businesses or who want to make productive use of this money. Increasing an economy capital stock also increases its capacity for production. Producing more goods and service can lead to an increase in the national level of. So that is what the role the bank plays in the development of the economy. The banks help capital formation, which is required for development. And then it is like a cycle. If a new company is formed, they will require money, yes, but then they will also generate employment. When people are employed, they will have money with them and they can spend that money. That will also help other industry to further develop. So for example, I am employed, I want a car to commute to my office every day. So now a car company will have to manufacture, and the car company manufacture. If the demand of the car increases, the car company manufacture, and if the car company manufactures, it also will have to employ people to help him in the manufacture, and so on and so forth. So that is an entire cycle. So Akshay and Kavya, can you please mute your mic because it is creating a disturbance. So in the financial market, you have various financial instruments which help you to generate money or channelize the money from people deficit to surplus, surplus to deficit. So commercial banks help the industry as well. Okay, so with the growth of commercial banking, there's vast expansion of in trade and industry. So there are various instruments. We are going to learn about them in detail little later. But a bank has checks, letter of credits, debit card, credit cards, bills of exchange, and many other instruments which help people to increase their trade. So reason for growth in international and national and international trade with many instruments. Bank as lenders also provide startup loans and financing for capital equipment purchase. So for example, I don't know how many of you are aware, there's a Mudra loan, which was started a few years back. It was a loan given to people who want to be self-employed or people to start business. So if somebody starts a business, he'll be able to employ himself as well as he'll be able to employ others, right? So that was the objective behind that. So banks help industries or businesses to grow or to sustain.
Ma'am,
Yes.
so Mudra loan is offered by commercial banks, right? Hello.
Yes. Yeah, Mudra loan is offered by commercial bank. Yes, correct.
Yes. So currently, is the Mudra loan is actively issued by commercial banks, ma'am?
Yeah, it is. I don't think there is any guidelines to withdraw it or something like that. But
Okay.
obviously it has some prerequisite. That means it is given only for somebody starting a business. It is not given probably for existing businesses. It is only for new business. So it has some guidelines, but I don't think there is any new recommendation for withdrawing it or something like that.
Okay.
Rather, the finance minister has been talking about giving more loans to companies which want to get into anything related with health. If you have been following the economy or the finance minister, or you will see that there are the government is trying to increase provisioning for businesses to borrow from the bank,
Okay.
because we have seen a very bad time since last year because of corona, and for
Mm-mm.
growth of the industry it is important that people have money. So they
Yeah.
are talking about different products or different ways to lend to especially the health sector.
Okay.
And
Ma'am,
that's
what
and the
is
business.
what is the initial capital provided for the Mudra loan? Do you have any
10
idea on that?
lakhs. It is 10
10
lakhs.
Okay.
So this is how the banks affect the economic
Mm-mm.
activity. So they provide availability of credit. Credit, we are going to hear a lot of time. Credit means loan. Wherever you see credit, it basically means a loan. Right? So the bank borrows money from people who have this, who want to invest, or who want to make more productive use of the money. So if I keep my money in the Almera, obviously it will not multiply, it will not increase in value. But if I keep it with the bank, I'll earn some rate of interest, right? So bank pays the rate of interest to people who have kept their deposit with the bank and then lends it to the people who are in need of this. So bank can also influence the economic activity of the country through influence on availability of credit and rate of interest. And obviously this will lead to economic development. So you also have some development banks as well. So for example, SIDBI, so they set up a term lending institution, not only provide funds, but also provide advisory, promotional and entrepreneurial services. So basically they are helping people to run a business. Also bank helps the agriculture sector as well. So we have seen that though India is doesn't have agriculture contributes only to 17-18% of the entire GDP. A lot of people are more than almost 50% people are engaged in the activity of agriculture. So there is a lot of emphasis on development of agriculture as well. So you have regional rural banks to help the rural economy to develop. And nowadays, even private sector banks are coming in, and the RBI also has some special provision for rural development. So the provision of credit to agriculture sector has greatly helped in raising agriculture productivity and income of the farmers. So you have the cooperative banks, regional rural banks, scheduled commercial banks, non-banking financial institutions, self-help group, which help financing of the farmers. And several other initiatives have been taken to strengthen the institutional mechanism of rural credit. So in earlier times, the only way a person in the village could raise money was going to the local sahukar. And we have seen this, our Indian movies have shown our, shown us this in many movies. So especially the 70s and 60s and 70s movie, where you had a poor hero and his mother will go and pawn something and borrow money from the local sahukar. Now we have from there we have moved to monetization by support to rural areas where the central bank and the government specifically tells the banks to lend to the agriculture sector, because uh, the development of the country would happen only if there is development in the rural areas. So underdeveloped economy is characterized by the existence of large non-monetized sector, particularly in the backward and inaccessible area of the country. The banks, by opening branches in rural and backward area, can promote the process of monetization in the economy. So if you look at, there was the Jan Dhan account as well. So this was also an initiative by the Reserve Bank of India and the Government of India for financial inclusion. So this is also one thing which you'll hear very often, financial inclusion. Basically, it means to provide banking services to the remotest corner of the country, right? So one of the ways of doing it is asking your banks to go and have a branch in the rural area. Also, with the advent of technological innovation and especially the mobile, accessibility of the branch of the bank can be provided using electronic channel or digital channel. So payment banks, for example, have been set up for providing banking to people who do not have access to a branch. So there are many initiatives taken by the government and the RBI for financial inclusion, and that will help in the rural development. Okay. So just to recap what we have seen till now, what does monetary policy pertain to? First is, what is monetary policy? Anyone? Yes, people who
Mon-
have, yeah,
Monetary policy is regulated by the RBI for making the stability of price or inflation in the economy.
correct. So basically two intentions or two objectives of the monetary policy, it can be either price stability or development, right?
Development. Yes, ma'am.
So it is definitely not income and expenditure of the government. Which policy deals with it?
Price stability.
Fiscal policy.
Yes,
Oh,
so income and
okay,
expenditure of the government
Yes,
is decided in the fiscal policy,
yes, ma'am.
whereas price stability and to some extent capital formation also. So capital will be
Mhm.
formed if the interest rates are low,
Low.
right? People will borrow if the interest rates are low. And that is what the RBI is being doing in the recent past. They're keeping the interest rates at a very low level so that people find it easy to borrow, right? So capital formation, price stability can be a part of monetary policy, but definitely income and expenditure of the government is decided by the fiscal policy and not the monetary policy. Okay, what will happen if interest rates fall in the economy?
Ma'am, the credit availability will increase.
Neither of the above.
Okay. Credit availability will increase, obviously. What will happen to inflation? If the interest rates are low, what will happen to inflation?
Inflation increase हो जाएगा.
Inflation will increase. So interest rates अगर कम है मतलब liquidity
ज्यादा होगी
increase हो जाएगी. Liquidity ज़्यादा होगी, it will give rise to
inflation.
correct. So neither of the above, correct. Credit availability will increase and inflation will also increase. Summarize what we have done till now. We have seen flow of income in economy can be explained as a combination of various individual flows of different participants. You have the household, firms, government, and financial sector. This is what we have seen in the four sector economy, and money keeps on flowing between them. So, for example, household will buy things from the firms, so money will flow to the firms. The firms have to give some taxes to the government. So money will flow from the firms to the government. Similarly, household will work for these firms. So the firms will have to pay money to the employees. Employees will have to pay income tax to the government. So on and so forth. So, this is how the money flows in the economy. So we have seen in a two-sector economy, you have household and the firm, and the entire income is spent by two participants, either on goods or services by the household or for the factor payments by firm. And there is no saving for future capital formation. So this is also one relationship we have seen. More the saving, more would be the future capital formation. So four sector economy we have seen would have the government, the firms, and also the international trade. We've seen the monetary policy of the economy affects interest rates and one of the prime movers of saving rates leading to capital formation. The financial market intermediaries regulate the flow of money between savers and borrowers, thereby ensuring adequate supply of capital for investment activities. Now let us look at the role of the financial sector in intermediation of flows. So this is what we had discussed, the various participants of the financial market. So financial system, basically, you will have the issuers or people who are in need of money. You will have investors, right? You'll have mutual funds because they also collect money from individuals. You have the government, the stock exchanges, depository. Okay. So financial system consists of the financial market, which we have understood is the place where financial instruments are bought and sold. And they can be different kind of financial instruments used for capital formation, which can either be debt instruments or share instruments or government bonds. You have the financial regulators like the SEBI and the RBI and the IRDA to regulate, to make guidelines for working of the financial market. And you will have to support it, you will have the financial services. Now, financial market participants can be diverse. So it can be, retail investors, people who have money. Insurance and pension funds also have money which they can invest. Then you have the clearing houses, brokers. So let us understand the role of each. So investment banks helps a company to raise that capital, right? Then you have retail or corporate banks. Now they are basically into the business of borrowing and lending. Mutual fund and hedge funds invest on behalf of different kind of investors. Government, as we have seen, is one of the major borrowers in the financial system. Then you have the stock exchange. Stock exchange facilitate capital formation through various instruments. So commercial banks also facilitate capital formation through borrowing and lending. Stock exchange all facilitates capital formation by issuing different kind of securities, by helping company to issue different kind of securities. Now you also have the depositories. Just to give you a background, earlier, if you probably ask your grandparents, you tell them where all you have invested, so they will probably get a big bundle of papers. So in earlier times, investments were basically done in paper form. Obviously, paper form or physical form had its own drawbacks. Therefore, the government decided that the investments should be done in electronic form. So, for example, a simple thing like if you have 10,000 cash in your wallet, obviously you'll be a little scared about it. You will be very careful when you're stepping out, and there's always a possibility of you losing it, or it being stolen. So that was a physical way of buying securities. But if you go and deposit this 10,000 rupees in the bank, you have that 10,000 rupees by your bank statement. You don't need to have physical cash. In case you want to buy something, you can use your debit card or Paytm or a check. You don't need physical cash to borrow. So that is what happened to various kind of securities. So securities in today's time are issued in electronic form. Now, as you have bank as a where you go and deposit your money, you have depository which manages the securities in the electronic form. So they are also a part of the financial system as of today, because they manage the investment in electronic form. So these are people who will be investors, people who are in surplus of funds. You have the registrars. As the name says, registrars maintain the register. So they maintain the record of the investors. You have the clearinghouse. Clearinghouse basically helps the settlement. So for example, I have to go and buy some shares from the stock exchange. Now, and as we've seen, stock exchange, the transaction can be done only through the brokers. Now, there'll be buying broker and a selling broker. So, the person, the buyer, the transaction would be settled only after the buyer receives the security in his account and the seller receives the money. So that is facilitated by the clearinghouse. So clearinghouse basically decides what are the liability of each one, and then they settle it. Brokers, as we've seen, are agents of the buyers and the sellers. And you might also have custodian. Custodians, as the name suggests, keep custody of the assets. So for example, you have a mutual fund. Mutual fund invest on behalf of other people. Now this property which they have is not their property. So it has to be kept with a third person, and that is what the custodians do. Custodians have the custody of the assets. So these are various participants in the financial system. So gradually, maybe you will find it too overwhelming as of today, but gradually as we progress, the role of each participant would be clearer. So we have seen the role of financial intermediaries. They address a conflict of preference between borrowers and lenders. So if you look at bank, now if a company needs a loan, the quantum of loan can be as high as a few crores, right? Now, if they go to one borrower, it might not be possible to give that money. So in that case, what the bank would do? Bank accepts deposit from many individuals. So they will have enough money to lend it to the company. So they work on volume and sizes. So financial intermediaries address the conflict of preference between borrowers and lenders. So different borrowers might have different volume preference or liquidity. Liquidity basically when can I get my money back? Then risk as well. Any kind of investment will have risk, and I might not, as an investor, I might not want to take too much of risk, or I might want to take risk. Depends on my psyche. So that is managed by the financial intermediaries. So we've seen type of financial intermediaries. It can be the banking sector, which has both retail, corporate, which can have retail business unit, corporate business unit, investments. So all the 3 business units will have different kind of job profile. So for example, retail bank would deal with retail customers or individuals. Corporate would deal with companies, whereas investment banks would be responsible for advisory and helping corporates to raise money in the market. They can also be finance houses, saving and loans, and credit unions. Then you have long-term savings like pension and insurance funds. Then you have risk spreaders, or basically people who try to reduce the risk. So you have the mutual funds or the investment funds. Then you have risk takers. Private equity, hedge funds. So basically, different kind of investors have different kind of risk profiles, and you have financial intermediaries to manage them. Then brokers, I've already explained, are agents who act on behalf of the client. They assist in buying and selling securities, and they provide access to the market. So if I want to buy or sell something on the stock exchange, I cannot do it on my own. I will have to necessarily do it through a broker. Now you also have broker dealers. That means they enter into deals on their own. So they can trade on their accounts, and they are also market makers. Market makers in financial market or any other market would mean people who both buy and sell. So market is made only when there's a buyer and a seller. So they make that market by buying and selling. Then you have interdealer brokers. They facilitate trade between broker dealers and other financial institutions rather than individuals. So depending on the type of customers they are dealing with, you will have different kind of financial intermediaries. Now, why do financial intermediaries do it? Why are they able to do it? So why I find it easy to go and open a bank account rather than lending my money to someone else? Because there is regulation, because there is reputation and trust, right? And they have the expertise. So financial intermediaries gain benefit because of the reputation and trust, the expertise, economy of scale. So the example I gave you that if a company is borrowing, it will borrow few hundred of crores, okay, and the bank will be easily be able to give it because the bank has many people who have deposits. So a financial intermediary has economic of scales and pooled resources to do it. So as a role of financial intermediary, we have also seen financial intermediary try to manage the expectation of the borrower and the lender both. So the financial intermediary identify and correct the buyers and sellers need. They can connect in real time or over time. They decide the market price, make the transaction occur, and allocate fund efficiently. Right, so fund allocation will be allocated efficiently if you're able to generate more money, and if you're able to use that money for some productive use. So that is done by the financial intermediaries. Now, if you look at, this is one thing which you probably would have noticed. You have commercial banks and you have investment banks. Some of the commercial banks also act as investment banks. So basically there's a both are banks. That means they channelize funds, but the function is different. So commercial banks are intermediaries which focus more on borrowing and lending, whereas investment bank advises the company for raising this money. Also, they help the company to raise the money in the market. So we've seen that capital formation can be done in three ways: by taking a loan from the bank, or by issuing shares and debentures. So commercial banks are basically involved in the function of giving out loan, accepting deposits and giving out loan. Whereas investment banks will manage end-to-end raising of fund by the corporate. So if I'm a business, for example, I want to issue shares. I do not know much about the financial markets. I need expertise to raise this money in the financial market. So I'll go to an investment bank. The investment bank would calculate how much money I need and what are the different ways of generating it from the market. And investment banks also deal with very high net worth individuals who have funds in excess and they're looking for investment opportunities. So investment banks. So again, commercial banks can also do the investment banking activity. So it's not that there are two different entities. One bank can perform both commercial banking or retail and corporate banking and investment banking. So investment bank acts as intermediary between companies who want to raise money and investors that want to investment. So again, they act as intermediary between the client and the investors. Also advise companies on merger and acquisition, they do market research and help them in trading. So client of investment bank is anyone who has money or has a requirement for fund. So we have seen that the company investment bank advises the company at one hand, and on the other hand, it has people who are, it has entities who are in surplus of fund. So we have hedge funds. Hedge funds are again investment companies which help investors to invest or who invest on behalf of high net worth individuals. Then you have the mutual funds. Same function. You have insurance company who also have large amount of pool of assets. So these are clients of investment bank. So you have hedge funds. So they use investment bank prime brokerage service to borrow funds against its security portfolio. You have the corporation who want to raise debt to finance an acquisition or additional capital. So corporation work with investment banks to issue additional corporate debt to finance an acquisition. Then commercial bank transaction and interest rate swap with investment bank to reduce exposure in its mortgage portfolio. So it's okay if you don't understand some of the words as of now, because we're going to study all of them in detail as we progress through the course. So you have the government agencies work with investment bank to issue additional government debt to finance projects. Pension funds purchase long-term asset-backed investment grade security from investment bank. HNIs or high net worth individuals, people who have a lot of money and they're looking for investment opportunities. Mutual funds have a lot of money, they can participate in the IPO led by investment bank. The insurance company sells to investment bank credit protection on a pool of assets. So these are the clients of investment bank. So if you look at commercial bank, the main source of income for commercial bank is interest income, which is basically the difference between the interest rate at which they borrow money from people and the interest rate on which they lend. So if you compare, if you've ever seen this, the interest rate which you get on your deposit is always much lesser than interest rate which you have to pay on the loan. Whereas the revenue of the investment banks come as form of commission, when they help the companies to generate money. So they can come as advisory and consultancy fees. So how a company can use their resources better or their money better, or brokerage, help organization to raise finance through market. Trading, trade a wide range of financial instruments like share, government, corporate bonds, foreign exchange and commodities on behalf of their clients. Then underwriting commission. Now, when a company is coming up with an issue, so I'm a company, I need, say, for example, 100 crores. So I sat down with my investment bankers and asked them, how can I raise this money? So my investment banker says, you can raise this money by issuing shares in the market. So fair enough, I will go and issue shares. What should be the price? That also my investment manager would tell me. So I'm very happy that my investment banker is helping me raise money in the market. However, as we've seen that there are regulators as well in the financial market. So when I go to the market, SEBI tells me, fine, you can issue this, you can raise this money, but in case you are not able to get 90% of subscription, that means people do not subscribe up to 90%. That if I'm coming, if I need 100 crores, 90% would be 90 crores. So if you don't get 90 crores, you have to return the money back to the investors. So obviously I get scared. What if I do not get this 100 crores promise? So I go back to my investment banker. He says, okay, fine, no problem. Because they are the people who have advised me in the first place. They are the people who have seen my business, who understood the way my business runs. And then they have agreed on the issue price and the number of shares, right? So if they are not confident, that means they have not done their job well. Anyways, so the investment banker tells me, don't worry, in case your shares are not subscribed, I will buy the remaining shares. That is their credibility, because they have done an analysis on my entire issue and they have decided that this is the right time, this is the right price, and this is probably the right security to issue. Okay, so that is the underlying commission. Obviously, they will not do it for free. They will charge me a commission. So the investment bank also underwrites the issuance of shares and bonds. So these are the functions of the investment bank, unlike commercial bank, which are basically commercial banking, I would say, not commercial banks, because banks can perform both the functions. So commercial bank is more about lending and borrowing, and the main source of income for them is the interest income. Whereas investment bank is involved in helping the companies raise money in the market, and accordingly, they charge commission from the corporate they are advising. So if you can see the difference. Okay. So the banking sector is split into two fundamental divisions, investment banking and commercial banking. So that we have discussed. Commercial banking is about lending and borrowing, whereas investment banking is about helping the company raise money from the market. So the line between the two is quick disappearing. Banks that are commercial and investment banking include Deutsche Bank, Citibank, BNP Paribas, and most of the Indian banks also do both. They do commercial banking as well. They have a merchant banking division or an investment banking division. So this chart tells you the difference between commercial banks and investment banks. Commercial bank is more about accepting deposit, making loans, and offer range of services. So they help you in payment and settlement as well, like issue of checks or debit cards, credit cards. Provide service directly to the end user, which is individual. Whereas investment banks do not accept deposit from retail investors, enable business access capital markets for funds. So they help the companies raise money in the market. But the way your commercial banks earn is the interest margin, or the difference between borrowing and lending rate, also known as net interest margin. Whereas the source of income for investment bank is in form of fees and commissions. So that's what we have seen, that investment banks help companies raise money in the market, and obviously they charge a commission for that. Commercial banks have more standardized products and degree of customization is limited, because we've seen the volumes can be low. So customization might not be possible owing to the volume. Whereas investment banks are dealing with limited customers. So customization, each transaction would bear unique characteristics. The quantum of money is also different. If you look at commercial bank, the money would be lesser, whereas investment bank, because the company is raising money for a new project or for expansion of the business, the volumes are also high. Clients of commercial banks are individuals and smaller businesses, whereas customers for investment banks are majorly businesses, big businesses. The function of investment bank and commercial bank is very different. The function of a commercial bank is to buy stocks or bonds in order to put cash to work, whereas investment bank will to raise cash to relocate it to different investment by selling stock and bonds. So commercial banks also invest, but that is only for investing on their own behalf. However, there are restrictions also in India for commercial banks to invest like this. Commercial bank to gain or limit exposure to macroeconomic trends. Investment bank is looking to realize gains on investment. Commercial banks invest proceeds from gains realized from other investments, whereas the investment bank issue equity or debt on public exchange to broader ownership in the company, establish a market value for a company, and create a currency for acquisition and disinvestment. So the role of commercial bank, the commercial bank and investment banking is very different. Commercial banking is about accepting money from people and then putting it to use. It can be either by giving loans or by investments, whereas investment banking is more about companies to raise money in the market, from the market or from general public. So I think we will take a break here, and then we will continue to look at the financial market. So before we go, anyone of you has any questions, anything which is not clear, or you need some more explanation on that?
Infant.
Yes, indeed.
Ma'am, you said the main source of income for commercial banks. So could you please explain on that?
So main source, so see, anybody who's doing a business would look at how he can generate revenue, right? So if you look at most of the businesses, it is about trading. So I buy
Okay.
gold and I sell it at a higher price. That is my source of income. So for what does a bank do? Bank will borrow it from people at a lower cost and lend it at a higher cost, right? So that is the net interest margin. So for example, if you look at the rate of interest which the bank pays on say fixed deposit, the maximum in today's time is like 5 point something or maximum 6%. So the bank is borrowing at 6%. Now what will they do? They will lend it to someone else. And if you look at a home loan, which is probably the cheapest loan, it is at 8.6%, for example, right? So the difference of 2.69% is the income for the bank, or net interest margin. You know, we are talking about margin and net because the entire interest which the bank charges is not the income for the bank, because it also has to pay interest to people who have borrowed. So basically, simple class 6 maths which we have studied. My profit is selling price minus cost price.
Okay.
So the interest rate which the bank has to pay on the deposit is the cost price, and the rate at which the bank gives loan is the selling price. So the difference between the two is the profit for the bank.
Okay.
So let's take a break and come back by 4:45. Please come back by 4:45.
Okay, ma'am.
No, sir. Oh,
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Trying to understand the financial system, we have understood the participants of the financial system. So participants like issuers, then uh, also entities which facilitate the movements of funds and the settlement of funds. Then you have the financial markets where the financial instruments are issued and traded. So financial instruments are ways of generating capital or channelizing the funds, whereas financial markets are places where these instruments are bought and sold or issued. So now we've seen there can be different kind of financial instruments, and depending on the type of financial instruments, they will be traded in that kind of market. So we've seen the difference between capital market and money market. What's the difference? Can somebody tell me? Somebody remembers the difference between capital market and money market?
Capital market where asset where capital goods are bought and sold. Yeah.
No, we are talking about financial markets. So here financial instruments are bought and sold.
Okay.
Anybody else wants to try?
Financial market can be for short term,
Correct.
capital market for the long term.
Correct. No, financial market includes everything. So financial market includes all kind of financial securities. Whereas capital market is for long-term securities and money market is for short-term securities. right? So that is the first classification of financial market. Depending on the kind of instruments which are traded. So you have the capital market where instruments of longer tenure, tenure more than 1 year are bought and sold. Money market is a market for buying and selling financial instrument with shorter maturity, that is less than 1. An FX market, as the name suggests, foreign exchange market. Derivative markets, markets where derivative products are bought and sold. Right? So capital market and money market instruments would be different. The instruments of capital market are long-term debt and equity market. Money market actually deals in only debt instruments of maturity less than 1 year. So depending on who has raised that debt, you will classify that instrument. So for example, treasury bill. Who will raise debt through treasury bill? Which entity will raise money through treasury bills?
Government.
Correct. So treasury bills are debt securities issued by the government. So government actually issues